All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our RBT practice question series, where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Jamie wants to exercise early in the morning, but struggles to wake up in the morning and get out of the house. To increase the likelihood of following through, Jamie lays out workout clothes and sneakers next to the bed each night before going to sleep. Which best describes Jamie's strategy? So we're looking at Jamie and what she's attempting to do. What is her strategy? What is she trying to accomplish? We know she wants to exercise early in the morning, but struggles to wake up and get out of the house. So Jamie's issue is getting up and getting going. So what does she do? Well, she reduces that response effort by laying out workout clothes and sneakers next to her bed. So presumably, all Jamie has to do is wake up, get out of bed, put on the clothes, and go. This seems to make it much more likely that she will get out of the house. So Jamie has made all these modifications before or after the behavior. Well, she's made them before, right? Because the idea is to wake up and get out of the house. Now that she has all these clothes and sneakers next to the bed, when it is time to get out of the house, she's made a bunch of antecedent modifications to actually engaging in that response. So, what best describes the strategy? A consequence strategy. Well, she's not manipulating the consequence, right? Getting out of the house is what she's trying to do. A consequence would follow that. She's not out of the house yet. What she's done is modify what happens before she gets out of the house in an effort to make it easier to accomplish that goal or engage in that response. An antecedent strategy, it's proactive. It happens before the target behavior. And in this case, Jamie is modifying things prior to actually going work out. C, an extinction strategy. Well, one, it's not a consequence. And two, Jamie is not putting her behavior on extinction. And then D, a shaping strategy. Shaping involves differential reinforcement, which is also a consequence, and approximations. We're not looking at approximations here. Jamie is trying to attempt to go from struggling to actually going work out immediately. She's not doing it through approximations. So, since Jamie is being proactive and making changes prior to the behavior, she is using an antecedent strategy. A newly hire learns to make espresso drinks correctly at one branch of a coffee shop chain. After mastering the skill in that specific store, the barista is transferred to another location where the equipment and workflow are slightly different. The hire successfully applies the same espresso making steps in the new environment. Which of the following strategies would best promote generalization of the steps to new coffee shop locations? Don't look at this question and start to panic or get nervous because it's long. It isn't that difficult of a question. We are going to attack this question. So, we're looking at the strategy that is going to promote generalization. When it comes to generalization, it might be the most important thing we are working on. We don't wait and hope for generalization. We teach and work on generalization. There are strategies to promote generalization. In this case, the newly hire wants to learn or is learning to make espresso drinks at one branch of a coffee shop. She masters it in that specific store. Now we have to generalize, right? And so this barista is transferred to another location where equipment and workflow are slightly different. So we're taking the skills we've learned in one branch and we're trying to take them to the other branches. And the hire does it. She successfully applies the making steps in the new environment. What strategies would continue the promotion of that generalization? A, teach the barista only in one location to ensure mastery before moving them. If we teach only in that one location, the barista might get very good at working in that one location. But what about generalization? In this case, we're just going to have to hope that these skills generalize. B, provide multiple training sessions in different store layouts with varying equipment. Absolutely. The more you can alter and change how training is conducted and where it's conducted and with what stimuli, the more likely it is generalization will occur. If we have multiple stores, different equipment. Well, we're training a variety of different ways. That in itself is generalization. B looks pretty good. C, reinforce only the completion of each drink. Well, that's not really going to help with the different steps, right? That might help with the ending where each drink is finished, but that doesn't really clearly say how that would help with generalization. And then D, instruct the barista to ask for help whenever they encounter a new machine or setup. Asking for help is a fantastic skill, but that's not going to generalize the steps because if they're asking for help each time, it means they're going to have to be taught each time. So if we're focused on the generalization aspect, we need to try to provide multiple training sessions in different layouts with varying equipment. We don't just hope for generalization, we plan and train for generalization. During a daily team meeting, one of your coworkers frequently jokes loudly and makes off-topic comments. Coworkers laugh and encourage the behavior, and the coworker continues this pattern every meeting. Which is the most likely function of the person's behavior? Now, if you are like some who think that last question we took a lot of time on and you're nervous about your time, what's going to happen is it's going to balance out. You might spend a lot of time on the previous question, and you get a question like this, which is very straightforward and one you can answer very quickly. It's a function question. So why is the person's behavior happening? What do we know? We know the coworker is making jokes and making off-topic comments. We know other coworkers are laughing and encouraging the behavior, and the behavior continues. So here it's pretty obvious what the function is going to be. Very likely going to be A, attention. If the consequence of joking loudly and making off-topic comments is laughing coworkers and coworkers encouraging the behavior, then likely that attention is making this behavior continue. B, escape. It doesn't mention escape anywhere for this particular coworker, nor does it mention C, tangible, obtaining an item, or tangible for engaging in the joking and off-topic comments. And then D, automatic, which is essentially alone. There's no social mediation. Obviously, the consequence is socially mediated, so we're not going to consider automatic as the function. In this case, the function of the person's behavior is likely attention. Once again, very straightforward question, very simple question. So although the previous question was long and maybe more difficult, this one was short and pretty easy. A sales team implements a system where each team member earns one token for every successful lead generated. Tokens can then be exchanged at the end of the week for items like gift cards or extra break time. Which element is most critical for this token economy to be effective? Let's consider token economies. With token economies, what do we need? We need tokens. We need backup reinforcement, which we're going to pair with tokens. We need an exchange rate, meaning how many tokens does it take to earn backup reinforcement. And then we need a plan. In this case, the question was to know what is critical for a token economy to be effective. You have a sales team. They're implementing this system where each team member gets a token for every lead. They can then exchange the tokens for items like gift cards or extra break time. How can we make this token economy effective? A, the tokens need to be difficult to earn. Well, no, not necessarily. That is not a critical aspect. The token reinforcement schedule is going to be individualized depending on the situation. B, the token exchange rate for backup reinforcers needs to be very high. Again, not necessarily. We don't need to make every exchange cost 20 tokens just because. It needs to depend on the value of the reinforcement. It needs to depend on the person. There's a lot of factors in play about what that exchange rate should be, but it doesn't always have to be high. C, the token exchange rate for backup reinforcers needs to be clear. More than anything, it needs to be clear. These sales team members need to know how many tokens it's going to take to get reinforcement. That has to be very clear. D, employees should not know how many tokens they have earned until they are ready to exchange the tokens. Definitely not. The tokens are going to act as those generalized condition reinforcers prior to the exchange. And so employees need to know when they're getting tokens, how many they have. That's an important part of the system. The most important thing for a token economy is it has to be individualized and it has to be clear. And so C, the token exchange rate for backup reinforcer needs to be clear, is critical. You're implementing a matching to sample program that calls for your client to match one animal with another similar animal. You lay out three cards on the table, hand a card to your client, and then say, match this, while also accidentally glancing at the correct card on the table. The accidental glance will be considered a what? So let's think about this. We're talking about an accidental glance. Now, we know you're running a matching to sample program. Your client has to match an animal with another. You have a field of three. You give a card to the client. You say match this. All fine, right? The SD is match this. Now, you might say, well, this is a prompt when you accidentally glance at the correct card on the table. And it is. So you got to think about if it's an accidental prompt, does it still count? What will we consider that? A movement prompt. Well, a movement prompt, right, is just like a gestural prompt. And you might say, well, glancing might be a gestural prompt or a movement prompt. And it could be, but it was on accident. So there's a specific name for that when you don't mean to prompt. Be a positional prompt. Positional prompt is when you have items and you move those around, right? So if that's my field, I might rearrange it to have the triangle closer. That's positional. Obviously, not what's going on here. What happened here was inadvertent. It wasn't intended. And inadvertent prompts can happen very easily. You've got to be very aware of the type of prompting you're doing. It's very easy to inadvertently do a positional prompt if you're always putting the right answer in one location. Very easy to do a gestural prompt or a movement prompt or a verbal prompt. You got to be very aware of what might be acting or signaling to your learner what the correct answer is. So the accidental glance would be that inadvertent prompt. All right, thanks for watching. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. When you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. As always, subscribe if you haven't already. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.